Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Anugo for New Home Sales. I'm your host today, Sarah Williams, the Director of Sales here at Anugo. With me today is an old friend of mine, and he's been a client of multiple companies that I've worked for over the years, Anthony Kent. Anthony is the President of Cothran Homes in Greenville, South Carolina, right up the street from me in Charleston. And the reason I wanted to welcome Anthony today is he's probably one of the most enthusiastic people when he's excited about something or there's a new trend or something that he's discovered. And he and I were talking very recently. I'm prepping for an IBS session, and he started telling me about his success in self-touring. So that's going to be our topic today. But before we dive in, I want Anthony, please introduce yourself to our audience if they don't know you and kind of how you got into the new home industry.
Well, hey, Sarah, I'm so glad to be with you today on this podcast. And as my PR people tell me, Anthony, make sure you speak nice and slow because I do get excited and then I start to speed up and then nothing makes sense. But today we're going to have a good time with this. So this is fun. The new homes, I think, is the most incredible industry man has ever invented, and the strategies and marketing them are so much fun to develop every year, and they change so much. So I've been with the company for 25 years doing commercial property leasing, development, and all those things. And I grew up as a home builder with my family out west, understood the process. And when we went through that recession, the Great Recession in 2008, our company started to buy because we had sold a tremendous amount of industrial. We started to buy defunct subdivisions, and our president at the time, he says, here are all these communities, and here are a bunch of homes. Some of them were finished. Some were just framed. Some were just empty lots. A few homes we had to just tear down and start because they'd been sitting in the weather for so long. And that's how we jumped and got into it. And I decided we're going to do this. We're going to go all the way. And we're going to be the best that we can be. And so that's how I got into it. And I guess that was about 13 years ago. And before that, our company had been a residential developer in the 70s and 80s in our area. So we had our lucky position was we had a really good name that had a lot of history here in town with home development. So here we are. I love it. I love the strategies of new homes. I love the people that work in our circle. Sometimes I call that our circus, but it is a circle. And I like talking with those who are thinking about this as much as I do.
Well, you're perfect for our podcast, and you have slowed it down because my energy, you match my energy. So maybe I can get you riled up a little bit. Your PR people can yell at me.
I'm sure it'll speed up when it starts getting.
No, because that is a reason why I love, because you get me excited about a topic, and I'm like, oh man, you have to come on our podcast and talk about self-touring. So because you got so excited, and you're getting your PR people, you're getting a ton of airtime with Fox News and articles out there about your process for self-touring. I said, we need to bring you on because I feel like, and you and I have just talked about it, there is a bit of a split in our industry of whether or not you should adopt self-touring technology. Does it work? I was with the builder yesterday, and because you and I were going to be recording this today, he was like, oh, we tried it back in whatever month and it didn't work. And I was like, really? Like, tell me more, and it sounded like their process didn't work. So why don't you tell our audience and tell me what kind of got you introduced to self-touring and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah. So before we do that, I want to break down self-touring into the simplest form so everybody understands exactly what we're talking about. Ultimately, what I'm saying is I want to be able to show a home that I have for sale that is completely finished or about to be finished, and be able to show this home 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, 365 days a year to anybody who's driving by that wants to see it. I want them to get in the home and see if they connect. That is the simplest form. Okay, so then the process is I'm going to give you the mechanics. It's simple. You have to have a lock on the door that will receive a code that's generated by a system. So you have a hub in the home that's a cellular hub. I use UTour. They're the best ones out there. There's no way around that. You'll learn it if you try it. And that cellular network is what connects to the app and the systems at UTour. And a customer can drive by or schedule on my site, see a tour that is a home that is set up for self-tour, register themselves in the app, select the time, the home, the day, verify through something as simple as a bank card, get a code to the home, enter the home, look at the home, and if with all success, they decide within 60 to 90 seconds that it's either for them or not for them, and they'll either leave or stay. And in the end, I've had one more body through a home, and I've got one more piece of perfect information, their real name, their real phone number, their real email of a client buyer that we can give to our online sales counselor or their community manager. That is the simplest form of self-tour. The idea is get more people through your homes when they want to see them, not when you want to show them.
Well, you know, I love technology, right? That is what I do day in and day out. And I love the way that we're selling and buying new homes now, how it's evolved over the past. You talked about, you know, the 14 years that, you know, when you guys transitioned. I've been in the game for almost 20 years, how we keep transitioning. And when we talk about technology like this, I get so fired up. And when I talk to, because we get pushback with a lot of the different things we do at Inugo, when we're giving the power back to the consumer. And you and I have talked about giving that power back to the consumer and letting them do things on their own. Did you get any pushback from your sales team? Because, you know, we hear from consultants, salespeople, all kinds of, you know, just different opinions. And, you know, there's fears when you start giving self-service to consumers. So talk to me about that. Was there any concerns or pushback or special training that you had to go through with your sales team?
Yeah, so how does self-tour complement or compete against our sales team, or in fact, outside general realtors, which is really the biggest competition. The self-tour is the biggest competition, and biggest enemy is the general realtor, believe it or not, but not our sales team. So the way this came about really was in the summer of 2020. We were, all of us at the time, because we had homes right there in that summer, or we're finishing because maybe somebody canceled because they thought the world was coming to the end, and you had some homes, and we were doing a virtual tour, and I'll do it by iPhone or Facebook, whatever but what we really, you know, or people will be like, just leave the door open or whatever. So we realized that we really had, and I watched self-tour or like automatic entries at the International Builder Show, you know, a couple of years before. We had Enter Now. I think U-Tour was just lighting off, getting big. And there were a couple other ones, but they've all been developed for the apartment communities years ago, because self-tour has been in service for apartments and vacation homes for or self-access for about 10 years. So all of a sudden you bring that into new homes, then you time it with this period where people want to see homes without somebody around them they don't know. And then it was like this perfect match, okay? So oddly enough, this is so weird, because we all like the idea of, and I hate cliches, but on-demand self-service is what we all want in everything we do now. And we see that because the other day I was at a CVS and I didn't have to talk to somebody to check out. So I didn't have to come up with like small talk to get out of small talk just to buy my small item. It was like that self-serve, swipe it, buy it, and run out the door. And people love that whole service. You know what I'm talking about? So what was crazy, if we think about this, and these studies have been done, is we have a tremendous amount of people who register for interest into our systems to look at our homes or our communities, right? But then they never come out, and we never hear from them again. But yet at one point they were really interested, and then it just died off. So, you know, Zillow, years ago, they got a hold of these people who registered but didn't come out to a community on purpose. And they asked them, what was the problem? What was your response? You know, and so it comes back, 51% of the majority of new home shoppers said they had wanted to visit, but they couldn't conform to the standard sales hours of 10 to 6 p.m. Now, during the summer of 2020, our sales hours were all over the board, and nobody wanted to talk with us, right? Going into that, 43% said that the shoppers said that they didn't visit because they didn't want to meet with a salesperson immediately. Okay, that's me looking for a new car after an auto dealership closes, or on
Sunday nights,
or
Sundays,
in South Carolina. Our auto dealerships are all closed on Sunday out of custom, and that was like the busiest day, right? And that's what we want to do. Sometimes we go into a department store and we will sneak to the left to avoid the salesperson, so we can just check something out with being asked how I can be helped, because we want to self-serve. Maybe we have something in our mind. I just want to look at it real quick. I was shopping for furniture. Nah, I was at the furniture store looking for something with my daughter over Black Friday, because nobody's in furniture stores on Black Friday, believe it or not. But there's a lot of salespeople. And you enter the furniture store, you want to go to the left. All I want to do is I'm looking for this certain bed my daughter wants today. She's going to tell me which one it is. I don't want to talk to anybody, but if I do find it, then I want to talk to you. So we sneak hard to the left, and we make up stuff like, oh, I'm here to meet the people in the back or something. Anyways, so don't meet a salesperson immediately. That's human nature, because we want to do things on our own. We've been trained. But 64%, most of the home shoppers simply prefer to just be able to get in and tour a home for sale on their own time without a sales rep, or even without their general agent if they've hired one or claim to make one. So when you talk about our team, how this integrates, we got to a point last year or a year and a half ago with this whole shift in society of doing things on our own because of health reasons, that we ended up, well, first of all, we stopped pre-selling homes way in advance because we knew we couldn't control homes costs, and also we never wanted to set final pricing on a home because the market pricing was moving so hard. We didn't want to get caught upside down and not take advantage of the true value of a home. So we stopped all model home sales. We closed the model homes, and when a home would come up, we'd put a self-tour on it right away. We'd put it in the MLS, and then people would just flock to the house, as many as fast as could. And we were looking for those people who had been watching our stuff and got through. So the sales agent at the time, the only thing they had to do was work with actual people who responded positive to the tour, wanted to know more information. Now, the other thing that salespeople have learned is they're able to work with multiple people now. So on a Saturday, like on the busiest day, our models are back open, obviously, we're in different times. We've got this facility now because if you're like me, you've got a couple finished homes in your community, and people are rolling through, and you've got an appointment and you're working with somebody else walks in, you can't serve them both. But now you have the opportunity to tell the second person that walked in, is like, I'm working an appointment. I'd like to schedule one with you, but I'm going to help you out today. If you want to see a home, I've got a home on self-tour down the street, and I'd love for you to go through that home. There's registration instructions as soon as you walk up. It's really fun, super simple. Stay as long as you'd like. And so it gave our salespeople an ability to work with more people, sell more homes. Okay. The other thing is salespeople realized rather quickly that people love to self-tour on Sunday evenings, early Saturdays, and they love to self-tour on holidays when we're closed. They love it. And all of a sudden, more people are coming through our homes, and the sales agents have realized they have more quality leads with true information, and it's just working better.
Well, I love that. I mean, when I worked in the model homes, were like, oh, they're back in the day, there were people that just wanted to come through the model just to see it, just to view it. Do you find that with self-touring, is that even a thing anymore? Like, are people just curious what the house is and they're not interested? Or most of the people, I would think, driving around, if they're going to come in, fill out their identity and go through, they're actually interested in buying? Is there any data right now for you guys on how many people are just looking versus?
Oh, well, first of all, we're all lookers, right? We're all buyers.
Well, we're all right.
Yeah, we have more people look. When you offer the ability for somebody to look at something without an obligation to talk to somebody about it, you're going to get more traffic.
Okay.
You've worked in a model.
Yes.
As part of, even though I'm the president of the company, with our construction, marketing, sales, accounting, finance, I do require myself to take appointments and show homes, work with clients. So I work with anywhere from 4 to 6 actual buyers during the year that I select. And I do that so that I am familiar with what our salespeople are feeling when they're selling, how the homes are looking, so that if we're talking about a process, we do that. And so my point is, this is what everybody's going to resonate with. If you've ever sold a home or you have salespeople working for you, the buyer, by nature, a human, may want to see a home and schedule an hour with your salesperson to go look at a home. This is a high chance, and you've seen it, Sarah. The buyer has already decided within 90 seconds they're not interested in the home, but out of courtesy and human nature, will keep a salesperson there talking for the next hour. And we know that. And if you've ever sold homes, you've heard all of a sudden the discussion becomes these critical questions about the home. but yet they don't leave. They're doing it out of courtesy because you've scheduled an hour to be with them, right? As opposed to the people that come in and then they get excited. Oh my gosh, I was looking for this. Oh, I want to use this room for this. Oh, this is so sweet. I don't want anybody else to buy this. What's the next step or process, right? So you've had the people come in that are just, first of all, they're either lookers or you already know they're not interested, but they're being nice and letting you finish your story. What a waste of time, right? So the idea with self-tour is those sort of people who they have the opportunity to go through a home and kind of do it on their own. And my fallout, it really doesn't matter. People say, what is my conversion rate on self-tour? Answer is, I have no idea. I do know that people specifically who, even in that Fox interview we did the other night that was on TV, that young woman and her husband self-toured at 5:30 on a Thursday night. Our office was closed. Loved the home so much, called the agent the next morning at 10 o'clock or before and said, that's the home we want. We don't want to lose it. What do we have to do next? That happens. I don't know the numbers, but if I look at in my history of tours and my registrants, yes, I can see the people that have bought. I can see the people who have toured 3 times on a home. Nonetheless, when they do 2 or 3 times, that's a good sign to our agent, our salespeople, like this is a hot lead. So it helps us define hot leads really fast.
As you're talking, I am sure our builders that are listening, I'm thinking profitability right there is like, people aren't running around holding appointments you're only holding appointments with quality. You're spending your time wisely is the way that as I'm listening to you talk, it sounds like we're being more effective and efficient with our time. We're giving people the ability to tour on their time. So you don't have to pay to staff your models from 9 to 9, right? Or, we hear a lot of talk of staff up right now. That we're all so slow. There's people. So why are you going to automate things? And I'm thinking, automate things that should be automated. Of course, humans still have to be part of the process. Like you and I are both salespeople through and through. Salespeople, there's always that human element. But if we can automate that, and that's what those people want. Not all people want to do that, but you and I both know more people want to be able to self-tour than not. Give the people what they want. And when you can serve your clients, it's a win for everybody. If you can give them what they want, when they want it.
Yeah, right. Listen, if you're listening to this and you're listening and you have a finished home, you have inventory home, you must have a self-tour system in place right now. So if you have a single home sitting in a community or 2 homes that are finished and you're not working that community, that's why you do self-tour. Here's another little secret at Cothran Homes, and some of you guys are going to be like, what moment? And I don't know, maybe Sarah knows this. Our models are closed on Sundays and Mondays. We have no hours on Sundays and Mondays. Our sales staff work Tuesday through Saturday. They have 2 days off. Now, for a second there, just that little thing I just told you, guess how high my interest is for salespeople to come work for Cothran Homes, knowing we don't work on Sundays or Mondays. It is big through the roof. We don't rotate in and out, okay? On top of that, currently, I run my sales staff where they only work 1 week on, Tuesday through Saturday. They have the next week off. So in my community, I rotate 2 people, 1 week on, 1 week off. Now, that doesn't mean they were not working on their off day. It just means they don't have to staff the model home, but they may be working on a deal and they can come in as they choose. Makes it like the most desirable company or process to work in because we got away from that. We have to be there 24 hours a day. So when we say efficiency, so I can sell more homes right now with fewer people, hands down, drop the mic. And if you're like me, you're listening, you don't think about commission that I earn on every home. What you're thinking about is what is my margin I'm earning on my home, on my development for my investors. That's what I think. I think in margin now. Everything is about margin. How can I make more money off of each home I sell? And there's processes in there like self-tour that reduce that. So even this year, here's the numbers. This is sort of secret, but from January 1st this year to I think my last report would have been October 31st because I haven't reviewed November's numbers yet. My co-op expense, the amount I pay outside realtors as a whole to sell my homes, over the millions of dollars of homes I sell.
Outside agents, we want to.
Outside agents. This is very important, critical, and dirty stuff right here. This is like let's get down to the dirty talk. I pay less than 1% of my sales amounts is being paid to outside co-op brokers right now. Is that attributed to self-tour? Yes, it is. It is. The reason why is and that is a very low number. The industry standard, we all say, is like, oh, maybe it's a 60% co-op, which translates to a 2.8% margin impact on our total portfolio. I'm under 1%. It literally boils down, in my case, to several $100,000 of extra money that we've generated off this. It's a big deal. And in Las Vegas, we'll probably talk more about this, how quickly the math works. But I forgot where I was getting off on that.
No, but we're talking about the real estate agent. So you're giving us the information about how much money you're saving. Because if you didn't bring it up, I was going to bring it up next about real estate agents and outside agents, because we already talked about your staff and how this has impacted the mentality, how you're able to attract more people to come work for you, which I feel like that's write that down if you're listening, or listen back to this, because these are huge points to take away with and implement in your business. Now let's talk more about the real estate agent. So you're saving under 1%.
No, I paid out 0.92, under 1%, 0.92% of my total sales volume went to outside realtors as fees. Now, I mean, what do people like? The realtors think they earn 3%, whatever. So generally, as a builder, you'd budget, I'm going to budget 3% of the sales price for outside realtors. Well, whatever. To me, that's a contingency, like hitting rock or theft. You should never plan for it. You kind of put it in there, but don't plan to spend it.
That's controversial, though. You and I both know this. That statement right there, depending on where you are in, at least.
I know. Well, listen, I'm happy to pay. I do believe that co-op payments are dynamic with the homes that you're selling. Hot homes, to me, should pay less because they sell faster. I've never seen data that says the more you pay an outside realtor, 5%, 4%, 10%, the faster a home will sell. There's no data on that, because ultimately the home buyer is the one who has to make the decision. And the thing where self-tour comes in and has really saved, the margin and simplified this business is that a person looking for a home where you have a home is going to find your home when they search from 9 to 11 p.m. So if you've done all your work and you have a website that has got great floor plans with Inugo, it's got great marketing, it has extreme content, great pictures, it just floods information, you've got Matterport, and then you said you could also self-tour this. Even if an outside agent doesn't want to show it because maybe they're getting offered a 5% plus 10,000 by some national builder with a 3-legged doghouse out in the country, that buyer is going to come to my community because I'm so exposed on Zillow, right? So it's all out there. And then even now with U-Tour and self-tours, and folks, I don't know if anybody knows this, I'm happy to check out my site or check me out on Zillow, but see, Zillow integrates self-tour now on the U-Tour platform to where when I list a home, claim a community on Zillow, and my community is on there, any home I list as available now, it has the self-tour button because Zillow is allowing this, and it's a direct connect into my system. And Zillow's excited about this because the idea is, how do we get more people to see homes? Now, I give you another little trick, and this is a good one, or maybe I'll save it. No, I'll tell you.
Tell us all your secrets, because
this is a really good one, because the thing with self-tour a home on demand is you really have to have good marketing. You have to have pieces that explain to the customer that this is okay. This is how you do it. You're going to love it. You're going to look around. We have a video on Cothran Homes under self-tour that Group 2 made, and it's the cutest video. Georgia put it all together. She's incredible. Do you know Georgia? Group 2? She's got the most incredible mind. So we did an explainer video of how simple and easy this is. I lost my train of thought because I got off.
No, that you need to have the good marketing. You have to have good marketing to explain to those that you're not talking to in front of you, that are online on Zillow, on your website, of what experience you have. So you don't have to have,
Right. So a little trick in here, folks, and you can try this in your own little time, is, believe it or not, when we list a home in the MLS and when it's finished. So we have inventory homes right now, a few of them, probably like most of you. But when you put a home on self-tour, one of the fun ways to sort of get people in is you can lead off your first line in your description in the MLS as, this home has a walk-up self-tour option, period. And then you start to describe the home. So when the listing in MLS, folks, and if all you know what I'm talking about, because the way that everything is moved, and like all these big brokerages can pick up your listing through MLS and they can make it look like theirs. And then, hey, I've got this home. Well, now when they send that to a client, it's going to say this home has a self walk-up option to it, right? And so that client gets that emailed list and they're like, hey, well, this one's got a self tour. We don't need to call the agent. Let's just go over there. No, I'm not trying to cut the agent out. I am all fair and square. If they have a representative and that representative makes good substantial contact with us in the effort, I'm all for it. If a person sees a self-tour home at 5:30 and the next day at 9, they say, and we have a sales agent that I've hired, that's not a problem. Let's sell a home today, right? So there's never been any conflict, but that's one of the big tips is in the MLS, you can always start. And the reason that the MLS system allows you to do that and won't fight me is because it's also a matter of public health and safety, the ability to look healthy,
Thank you. But if COVID came in as a plus,
that's what I'm okay. So many tips and tricks on that one.
Glass half full. Yeah, no, so that you keep like everything that you say, it's like exactly where I wanted to go. And my next question, because I was going to say, where else are you marketing? So my takeaways, and for those listening, is the marketing is key for this, I believe, for the success of self-touring. Because if people don't know you have it, you're trusting that you're going to have all this walk-by traffic. Yes. That they're just going to stumble upon this service. So promoting it, marketing it, putting it as part of your brand, as Anthony and Cothran have done, branding yourself as a self-serve type builder, making that your differentiator in your marketplace, because I can guarantee for those listening that your competition does not have this. This is not, more and more people are getting it, but I don't think it's as common across the United States. I think in pockets of the United States, it's becoming and growing, but I don't think it's as popular. So you could be that differentiator and be that trend setter in your market and get that, those incremental sales.
Yeah. So like speaking to that, very important. So this is a new thing. Most people are not doing it. And if they're not doing it in your area, you should be doing it. The marketing part is critical. So even like we've been asked to do a couple stories here by the local TV. I've been in, what is that, NPR, right? Several articles over the last 6 or 8 months, because with my PR person, we've pushed this story to all the media. And so like even in the Fox story that came out on our local Fox News, what we had was a 4-minute commercial on Cothran Homes self-tour with nothing but shots of our homes, our logo, our happy buyers, and our salespeople. The NBC affiliate did one a couple weeks ago. They played it 4 times over one night. That's $12,000 worth of eyeballs looking at our logo, our name, our product, we had another happy customers. So it's the marketing it's talking about. So you can push this concept and people will pick it up and find it relevant. The marketing thing is so critical, and you nailed it. When we got self-tour, we had to teach the public how to engage it. So we have signs outside of each home that says you can self-tour. Now ours are a little bit elaborate because we thought more. We use to get them to quickly register, I use my own special URL. It's called, I think it's myentercode.com is one I bought from GoDaddy. And then I redirect that into UTour's registration site for Cothran Home. And then that was working better instead of writing www.utour.forward/Cothran Homes,
Right.
So
it was more marketing, back to marketing,
Yeah, there's a couple builders I know who are with me on this, and they've done like their business, their builder name code or entry. I think CBH has a shortened one. But then what I did is earlier this year, because QRs are hot, then I just put this custom QR on the sign, and it says you can tour this home now. Go to the site or scan here, and then they go right into the registration system. So we market in front of the home because our drive-by viewership, like, oh, look at that, usually happens in the evening or Sundays when we're closed. And now if they didn't know about it, it's clear on the front door that you can come in this home, which has been huge. So that marketing, and then on our website, we took it a site more with the dedicated page and the video explainer, which is something we do. And then we label on my site any available home with self-tour. We have a new logo, and then on that you can click in to register. But what's even better, Sarah, and this is my favorite part, I love it when I hear from salespeople, the story is they get a call at 5:30, somebody wants to come see a home that we have listed available to look at, and the salesperson says, this is the best. listen closely. The salesperson says this: I've committed myself to my family tonight. We've got some things planned, but the good news is you can actually go visit that home on your own tonight and see if it's something you like. And if you do, call me back and I'll check up on you. That's where the win comes right there.
I mean, you're giving us so many gold nuggets
Oh,
today.
there's so many to go.
There's so many. I mean, there's so many gold nuggets, but these are, and you and I talked about this, when you listen to a podcast or you listen to someone speak, what can I implement today? And you're like killing it right now, because it's like, these are things that you can implement. So let me ask you this. I mean, you've given us so much, but for those that are either currently using self-touring that have not had success, I mean, obviously using your tips and tricks.
Yeah.
Tell us, like, did you figure this all out up front, or has this been like a learning curve for you? Because it sounds like you've got it locked down. I mean, obviously that's why we're doing this podcast, because it's a super successful program, but like, did it start this way, or did it take some trial and error? Like, I want to give people hope that, hey, you're not alone. Like, yeah, tell us what that process looked like for you, and kind of what kind of experiences were you having that made you kind of do all these other things? Yeah,
and so this is the part where I'd like to help others the most, because I do know people who have done self-tour, they tried it once, and then it just the whole program just kind of fell apart. And I've asked them why and what happened and why didn't they keep going. And everybody has different reasons. Now, at one time, none of us had homes to show. I get that. All 6 of my tours, they each have different names. There's Fidget, Samantha, Ronnie. They all have different names, and they sit in their briefcase in a closet when they're not being used or they're sent out, because we look at them as showing assistants. They're basically showing our homes. And guys, the cost is 25 cents an hour for me to run the system from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Every day of the week. One of the things that we learned when it came to failure was, and that we had to tackle right away, is you have to designate one person to be in charge of this program. That can, because what you're doing is you're installing the hardware. You have to manage the hardware. So you have to put on the lock. That's a Z-Wave. And little tip here, folks, write this down. If you're going into this, you're going to need a Z-Wave lock that has a code, right? Do not get the smooth lock. Get the one with the pushback buttons, because we have learned that some people's fingers are proportionately different than others, and they kept hitting codes, and it would error out, then timeout. So you always use the push button entry code Z-Wave lock. So the Z-Wave lock is what you bring to the site, connect it to the hub, get on the computer, program the home, test it out, you get your system set up. This stuff is super cheap, folks, by the way. This is not an expensive system. It cost me $250 to buy the equipment for one home, plus a lock, $100. I pay, when a home is live, I pay $99 a month. I really don't care, because my chances of selling the home have just increased multifold. So our advantage and the error I've seen with other people is you have to designate one person to buy in and be in charge of the operation from start to finish. Now, they don't have to install the lock. You can get a project manager, but if they can install it, like our guy John here, sales and marketing, he knows how to install the locks now. So when we say, hey, self-tour light up, clap, clap, clap. He takes the briefcase, he goes out there, unpacks the equipment, sets up the lock, puts in the hub, he plugs it in, adds the home, puts the photos on, comes back, tests it out, and then it just all runs smoothly. And then when we sell a home, he removes the system. So when it doesn't work, it's because you have to designate somebody to take full responsibility and to buy in and to commit to this process. For me to ask John, I've done the math, to go out and to set up a home. He can set up a home now in about an hour and 15 minutes. Okay. That means he'll take a couple of pictures if he needs to. He'll get it all programmed and he'll leave right there. So what does that cost me? Maybe that cost me $120 in labor costs to set up a home on self-tour. But now it's going to be shown all through the day, every holiday. That's the best. When you see the system light up with showings on New Year's Day, that is like the most impressive thing in the world. So that's one of the elements of failure. The second one is you have to be able to market this. You've got to have signs that, at least at the bare minimum, you've got to develop signage in front of the home that says this home has a walk-up self-tour. That's the second minimum right there. Is you just got to have that. The third one is, and this is the best and easiest and the no-brainer. Why do they fail? Well, first of all, you always show a home that is about 90%, 95% complete. And you always put signage in that says, we hope you enjoy your visit while we do the final while we finish the final details on your new home. We have to, and then you have to have information in the home. You have to have the brochure, or how can they learn more? They'll receive information on their phone, who to call, and then the trick is always follow up the next day. Ask them how that tour went. Like, what did you think about that home? Did you think that was a nice home? Like, you're trying to get their opinion. So it's like, having somebody perfect the setup, having the right marketing to get the customer to understand and go in. Third, having the right follow-up with your OSC or your salespeople. And let me tell you something, these leads are genuine. They've done something, they owe you info. You know what I mean? You've extended something. Law of reciprocity says they have to tell you what they thought.
Right. And if they're not interested, I love crossing people off my list as a salesperson. I'm like, oh, that's not for you. Would you like to look at any of our other homes? No, you found something great. And you just move on. But if this is a hot one, someone that's still in the market, if this is not the right fit, you can sell them something else potentially, depending on what you have in your inventory that they might not have discovered. So I love it, Anthony. You're a man of all the secrets and the nuggets of self-touring. And for our builders out there that don't do spec builds or don't have home inventory, is this something that you would put on a model home for those that maybe don't offer spec homes?
Well, you have a thing. We all should have spec homes. I'm a believer of that. I mean, I know there's some of us that build in the $4 to $10 million range. I get that. It's also good to diversify your portfolio, have affordable offerings. That's why I'm a believer. So we all have, or the majority of us do have homes that we need to sell. So the question is, can I put this on an expensive home? The answer is yes. I've got it on some homes that are valued at $900. I've got some homes that are valued at $280. Now, if you're interested in this, you need to get started right away and just get the equipment, have somebody start learning how to operate it, do a couple of tests so that when you do need it, you're ready to go. You're going to light up. Now, if you're listening and you work for the organization, you are about, if you do this, you're about to deliver a solution to a problem your company didn't even know they had. And that is, customers want something that we're not aware of. This is like when the ATM was invented, right? The banks didn't know about it. A customer invented it. When it comes to model homes, now we don't put self-tour on model homes because we have sales offices and stuff in there. So that is set up different because we put the tour on an inventory home that is finished. Now, I have done self-tour on a couple of homes that have some really nice staging on them. And that was like, how are we going to handle this? But then we learned what you could do is you could also put a Ring doorbell on it. And like, we have their perfect information. And then we had a small issue. You'll have to ask me some other day, but we do have a couple of fake looking dome cameras in the owner's bedroom that look like you're being recorded, even though we're not recording. I really don't care, but
no, I mean, but this is the stuff. Call it. We're going to be doing a presentation on hacks, right? Like on things that we do.
Oh, this one's
like
huge.
That's huge. Yeah.
Right. And I know this goes against like some of our favorite trainers in the industry who I admire and love and have really taught me everything and helped generate wealth for my family. I know that these ladies and gentlemen, there's so many of my favorite are out there. And that's why we go to the builder shows, to see these super smart people. I know that they're not necessarily promoting the buy into self-tour, and I get that. I think that I don't know how to explain it. Maybe it's just because that's not part of their delivery when they're sales trainers or organization, but it is just another tool. Look, this is like we put a key out in an MLS super box for a realtor to show a home when we're not there. Now we've just got another super box for a customer to go look at a home when we're not there. It just happens it does. And I don't think we need to always be 100% driven to connect with every person and be there right in front of their face if they just want to see our home. I believe that we can let people just look at our homes and then go back and tell somebody else. We did 700 and something tours this year. My average visit by a customer is 2.7 visits. Okay, that's when I take them all. Now I've had some that just do singles. I've had some that have gone back 2 or 3. I've had some that will bring back their family, then bring back their agent, and then the agent gets all confused on how the person got in the home. That's another story. I've had a few. Now this is great. I've had one person tour 7 times, same home, maybe it was another one, never respond to our call outs, emails, phone calls. So we actually had to go in and just sort of remove their access with a message that says, "You've reached the limit for your self-tours. Please call a sales agent for more information." So we don't do it on furnished models, sales office models. That's reserved. That's our private office space. An empty inventory home. Yeah. The other trick is you always have to check on your U-tours periodically to make sure they're locked up and look good. So.
Got it. Yeah, cleaning. I mean, the housekeeping stuff, signage is clean, the lots are clean, the house is clean. I mean, if you're inviting people in and if they're trying to use the facilities, you have to think about all of those things because you're not there to tell them. So this bathroom's off limits, or you can use this bathroom. There's actually toiletry, and hand soap and things like that in the bathroom. All those things. Yeah.
Our self-tours are checked very frequently, especially coming off the weekend because we are closed Sunday and Monday, but our house staff and our builders check our U-tours, our self-tour homes on Monday mornings. Sales staff checks them throughout the week if tours have happened, just to make sure they're still presentable and that the toilet doesn't need to be flushed or something.
Well, right. And that's the kind of stuff. I mean, that's just for most of us, that's basic housekeeping, but we've all been shocked when we walked into sales centers and we're like, really? All these light bulbs are out? I mean, with the brand new house, you should, all the things, right?
I know.
Well, I mean, we've been in the game for a little while now. So we've seen a lot. But I'm so excited because, again, technology is changing the way we buy and sell homes. And this is another avenue. Is it for every builder? Like we talked about, it's not going to be for every builder, because if you don't have inventory homes, Anthony, is a strong believer that you do. But if it's not your business model, then this probably is not going to be the right tool for you. But I believe there's so many of our audience members that this is something that you wanted, or you should learn more about, hence why we invited Anthony on, but also hearing success stories and hearing the tips and tricks on how to get it to work if you've tried it and you kind of said, a lot of times people will try it and cross it off. And Anthony already said he's talked to a bunch of people that, it didn't work for me. And because I implement software for a living, it's usually a user error. No offense to all of my clients out there over the years, but typically, sometimes it's the technology, but a lot of times it's the user. Yeah.
Look, there are some fads, okay? And I'll be the first to point out, I am not a believer in the buy it now button in new home sales, okay? I will make fun of anybody.
Kick you off, Anthony.
Okay, I'm just going to say, we can get into it, but first of all, a buy it now button is nothing but let me just reserve this home, take it off the shelf, and the agent may have somebody who wants to buy it right now. Anyways, I'll get okay, the goggles, the VR goggles, that was a fad. Okay, didn't work. Okay, there are several things that we've always come up with that we've tried: sales process, lines of wording, ways of asking question. I'm not a big fan of chat boxing. I think that people already know it's a robot, so I'm not a fan of that. Okay, that's just me personally. Everybody's got a different thing. Because I believe that the self-tour thing is a lot different than all these things that we've tried in the past. Because this is
because it works for you, though. I'll argue it works because it works for you, but the builder I worked with yesterday would argue that it doesn't work. And I can tell you, just to be clear, that we do have success on Buy It Now, and people are buying homes that way. And one day, Anthony,
a home is not fungible, okay? Every home on every lot is so different. You can hit Buy It Now, but you still have to go look at it.
Well, the neat thing is, okay, we're getting off topic here. I'm sorry to our audience, but real quick, there's no reason that someone couldn't have gone and seen it. So your self-tour, when they have to pick up the phone and call you to say, I want to buy it, why couldn't they just transact online right there and give you your deposit and sign a letter of intention or whatever you decide? So you're actually, I can argue you could add some steps to the process of your self-tour with the ability to actually make the purchase digitally without a human. If they want to.
This is why we need a session at IBS.
Yeah, just this argument.
You take like 5 hot topics, and then you say you have like the against and the for, and then like everybody just like goes.
It's a debate. Well, you know what though? Here's the thing: when it works, when someone's figured out the right process, and there's a way through, it's going to work. But I can tell you, if you haven't figured it out the right process and the right way through it for your organization, it feels hard and it feels friction. There feels like there's friction, but when you can create the right process, which you did with self-touring, it is so smooth because you've mastered it. And anything new, and I want to tell everyone this, when we're talking about technology, it is not a comfy, cozy blanket that you're putting on. It is always kind of hard and difficult, and it's change, right? I'm a change agent. That's what I do for a living. Anthony, you are too. We could argue to the cows come home about our differences and different things, but we agree on a ton of things too, which is,
I know.
but it is not always comfortable, and it feels weird, or the best is, that's weird, that doesn't work. It's because we don't know. We haven't gotten it to work, but there's success stories in different pockets. And that's why we do podcasts like this, because I want you to hear that this does work if it's implemented properly or very similarly to the way Anthony does for organizations that are set up similarly with spec homes and inventory homes. So I think that's important for people to understand, is it's not going to be easy out of the gate. There's no easy button necessarily when you set up technology. There's a learning curve, right? Always.
Yeah. And it's a good thing that we're not talking about my views on general realtors going into the future of new home sales, because that would be a lightning rod. But
we can have a different podcast for that. But
I know.
Is there anything with self-touring that we didn't cover that we want to tell everybody about that we haven't touched on? Is there anything left?
No, but I do know some people where it wasn't successful, and I really want to learn about what it was that wasn't successful for them, to see if I'm overlooking an issue with my staff or my process, because I want to hear about that. I think what's exciting is because we can talk about this again at the Builders Show, and you've heard some of these tips and tricks. I've got a few more things in our session coming up in January at the Builder Show that I'm going to reveal that just sort of cement this thing, as a very needed. First of all, it's not expensive, guys, and I'm going to go over the costs in detail, and it's so cheap. And I get that there's hesitancy towards trying something new or setting up technology. It just has to do with having the right person. You just try it. And so I can see that. I'd love to learn. I know people who've had success with it. I think we are really good at it because we spend a lot of time and investment perfecting our systems. And I'm so thankful for that, because today I've got 6 homes on self-tour right now at this moment, and they're going to be on self-tour till 7:00 tonight and all the way through the weekend. We had, I think, 12 self-tours over Thanksgiving. We had 2 on Thanksgiving Day, some on the Sunday, and I love my people, and I don't want them working on days when I'd rather them be home with their families. And that's where the advantage is. How can I get people through my home when we're not there? So.
Well, and that's a great place to end. And as I've said over the years, that when I help builders implement technology, I'm here to win back moments in their own life. So when you talk to this, that speaks to my heart, because how many of us in sales have given up moments in our life because there wasn't just an easier way to do things, that we couldn't just leave the key under the mat, because that was not how things were done. We weren't set up in a marketing way to be able for someone to self-serve. And now you can keep staff, keep them happy, keep them back with their families. I loved what you said about,
it's been huge. I mean, I have mothers with young children, babies that work for it. It's just,
but they're phenomenal salespeople, and they would have potentially left your company because your company was not flexible with what their needs were as an employee or a salesperson. So I've got 3 kids, teenage to toddler, and life is different when you're running teenagers and toddlers in daycare. And I've got the whole spread of, when you and I talked earlier, you did too, back in the day, the teenagers and the toddlers. So it's not easy, but as builders and as companies, when you can give your employees, we've been talking so much about your customers and meeting them where they want to be met, that you didn't even know you had this problem, because people aren't calling you because you never got to talk to them anyway, because you didn't have something for them. But your employees, I think that's another huge takeaway today, is when you can give back to your employees, and so they can be home with their families and not working till 8, 9 o'clock at night, showing homes, or 7 o'clock, as in Anthony's case. Like, that's a big deal. Nobody wants to work 7 days a week. I don't know anybody that does.
If you're managing an organization at a higher level, let me just make it really clear. Your customers are your employees. Personally, your employees are your customers. You treat your customers right, that's your employees. Because at my level, my customers are my employees, and they will treat their customers better, and then we are more profitable. So it's all about this. That's the one thing about self-tours, is really helped our salespeople sell more homes without spending a bunch of time. It just has done a great job. So,
well, I love it. And we'll end it there. Anthony, thank you so much. I'll be in touch with you soon, because we have an awesome session coming up at IBS. So we hope to see everybody there. And you can see Anthony and I on stage, along with Matt Riley and Beth Bird. I really appreciate your time today. I know you're a busy guy. And thank you for sharing all of your knowledge and all these golden nuggets of pieces of information and tips and tricks for those that are about to start trying self-touring. Anthony, is there any way for someone to get a hold of you?
Well, you contact my agent and have your people. No,
His PR.
No, it's simple. It's Anthony at CothranHomes.com. So if you go to Cothran Homes, COTHRAN, just put Anthony in front of that part and you'll find me if you have any questions. I every once in a while, I help people out and give them a few tips and tricks. I don't work for UTour, but I'm a believer that this is the best system for us. It connects to our CRM, it connects to our websites, it connects to Zillow. It's the best out there. So you're welcome to ask me, and then it all works from there.
Thank you so much, and thanks again for your time.
Thank you, Sarah.